Welcome one and all back to the Desert Borealis YouTube channel. My name's Tasha and I'm the wife, mother, dyer, designer, and knitter behind all things Desert Borealis. And today is October 30th, 2025, and it's time for episode 2 of my Slim the Stash series. So in this series, I talk about what I have finished in the past little while since the last episode. And I also talk about what has gone out of my stash, what came into my stash, and just my stash update in general. So let's just get right into it right now. Okay, I have not been here for a while because I have been keeping a few things secret and I was afraid of, jinxing it, I guess you could say. So I wanted to just keep it secret and wait until we were closer to the announcement date, and we are only 2 days away from finding out the results of my entry into the Knitting Guild Association's 2025 Pillow Cushion Design Contest. So now I will be able to share with you kind of everything that I got for the design contest, and I can show it to you. Now, if you have seen my podcast, then you've already seen this, but now we will see the grams that are going out of my stash. Let's just put it that way. So let's start with finished objects that I have completed. The last time that I did a Slim the Stash episode, it was back in July. So we've had August, September, and October to finish things. Now, I will say that I have also started school. I'm going back to school to get a degree in accounting. So that has eaten into quite a bit of my knitting time, but I have found for my sanity that I still need to carve out some time to knit by myself and also spend time with my daughter with knitting. So I am making that more of a priority, and I'm making these videos and my podcast more of a priority to just keep everybody updated and honestly to keep some joy in my life. I love knitting and I enjoy making these videos. So that being said, very long-winded, I don't have that many finished objects, and I especially don't have that many to show because I gave away 2 of them already. I made 2 more bunny loveys, and that can be found on Ravelry. Okay, so it's Bunny Lovey Parts and Pieces by Victoria Stewart. I made 2 of these for my niece and her younger sister, so 2 of my nieces, but one of them isn't born yet and won't be until December. So I have already sent those off to them. Like I said, these are the Bunny Lovey Parts and Pieces by Victoria Stewart, and the blanket that I used for the Bunny Loveys was the Rainbow Ripple blanket by Celeste Young. And those 2 Bunny Loveys got 506 grams out of my stash. Now, I did make the Bunny Loveys out of Hobby Lobby's Yarn Bee Sleek and Soft, I believe it was. Let me see. Oh, it was a mixture. It was Yarn Bee Easygoing, Sleek and Soft, and Pearl Spun. So I used a mixture of all 3 of these that I already had in my stash. And after making the second one, I was done with the yarn. I didn't want any more. I didn't want it in my stash. I didn't want to look at it. So I donated that to my local thrift store because I don't really have in-person knitters or crocheters in my life that much. I know that my sister-in-law does crochet a little bit, but I also know that she has 5 kids and her yarn stash is where she likes it. So I didn't want to burden her with it. Didn't have anybody else, so I donated it to my local thrift store. So after getting all of the wound ones, because I did have, backing up here. I was planning on making a lot more of these Bunny Loveys. So I went to Hobby Lobby and I got a lot more Pearl Spun in their off-white color. And once I made the second one, I was done. I was finished. I didn't want any more. So I actually took the 6 skeins that I bought from Hobby Lobby and I took them back, returned them. Now everything that I had already had wound in my stash, I donated to the thrift store. So returning the yarn to Hobby Lobby got 600 grams out of my stash, and donating the rest of my Hobby Lobby Yarn Bee acrylic yarn to my thrift store got out 1,115 grams out of my stash. So I felt pretty good about that. Oh, and then, I don't know if I already said this, but the 2 bunny levies was 506 grams out of my stash. So I made a dent in that area, and I also loosened the load, I guess you could say, on, because I wasn't loving the yarn, and if I just kept it, the longer it stayed in my stash, the more anxiety I guess I felt, because I knew I wasn't going to use it in the future. It's just not something. Crocheting those levies was something I was dabbling in. The first one, loved it. Second one, meh. Third one, done. So I know I'm not going to make those in the future, so I just got all that yarn out, and it feels so good to be lighter of yarn that was kind of mentally overloading me. Okay, so that being said, then I decided that I was going to enter the TKGA pillow contest, and so I started going through my stash, and I didn't have anything that really fit the bill because part of the requirements was that it needed to be a commercially dyed available yarn, and most of everything that I had is indie dyed or dyed by myself, so I knew that wasn't going to work. So I did place an order to Wool & Company to get some yarn that I thought I was going to use. I had this idea to do several colors and fades of colors into the pillow, but in the end I ended up only using 3 colors, and I think it ended up a lot better. But because I did buy those other colors thinking I was going to have 3 different fades on the pillow, I ended up buying, is that right? How can that be right? 1,450 grams of yarn for my pillow. I'm not going to show all of it, but I will show you the finished pillow. Oh dear. So this is my finished pillow. As you can see, I have this natural color and then these 2 shades of blue right here. This is the front. And then I did a different configuration on the back and 3 colors, the same 3 colors on here. And then I did an I-cord, a continuous I-cord all the way around the pillow. This was super fun to make. I did knit it flat in one piece. I seamed the sides and then I kind of covered the seam with this I-cord, and I installed this zipper. Installing the zipper was pretty interesting. I've never installed a zipper before, so there was a lot of Googling, a lot of kind of false starts, but what I actually had to do was sew what looked like a crochet chain onto the zipper. Then I picked up stitches through those crochet loops that I had just sewn on, and then I used a 3-needle bind off to bind off the stitches together. And I used a different kind of, because when you use a normal 3-needle bind off, there's like a ridge, but I found on interweave.com a way to do the 3-needle bind off so it actually lays flat, and that's how I did that on both sides. So one side was my cast off, and then one side was technically my cast on. And I could have used, there was, like I said, some starts and stops, but I ended up knitting this portion too large, so I was actually able to take out a portion of the back, pick up the stitches from where I had cast on. So I picked out my cast on edge, my original cast on edge, kind of worked up a couple of rows, picking it all out, and then just took all of those stitches and added them onto my needle and did a 3 needle bind off for the other side. So there was technically no casting off, sewing on, and sewing a cast on edge to the zipper. And like I said, this is my first time doing a zipper. I'm super pleased about how it turned out, and I even wrapped a zipper pull so that it would match all the way. The results of the TKGA contest come out November 1st, so I can't wait to show you if I placed or not, so that'll be exciting. But this pillow right here got 280 grams of yarn out of my stash. Okay, let's see. Okay, and then I did finish 2 pairs of socks. The first sock that I finished is my slip zag socks. Now this is a pattern that I designed myself, and it's available on my Ravelry design page if you want to check it out. It's kind of hard to see on the black, so bad on my part, but has these slip stitches that zig and zag back and forth. This yarn is from Freckled Whimsy's Halloween monthly club that she was doing. This is the colorway Jeepers Creepers, and I used the mini for the cuff and the heel, but then I some black that I had dyed up I used for the toe. And yeah, so these right here got 58 grams of yarn out of my stash. And those socks are for me because I like a shorter cuff. These socks are for my daughter, and she likes a long leg. These are just a plain vanilla sock. This is a colorway that I dyed up last year. This self-striping is called Mermaid Tears, and the heels, toes, and cuff are in the colorway Tealicious. I no longer dye up self-striping to sell to the public, but I do dye up tonals, and Tealicious is one of the colors that I do still dye up. These socks got 83 grams of yarn out of my stash. And those will be gifted to my daughter either for Christmas or for her birthday, whenever I feel like giving them to her. Okay. Those are actually all the finished things that I knit in the past 3 months. And we will talk about some of the things that did come into my stash, because you will be seeing those hopefully coming out soon. So one thing that came in was my Freckled Whimsy Advent. Now, I ordered this way back April? Yeah, I ordered it in April, and she kind of gave a teaser about what would be, you know, kind of the colors. And so I'm not going to share the colors on here because I don't want to spoil it for anybody else. But my plan was to buy a sock set in DK and fingering weight, and then buy several just plain skeins in fingering and sock weight. I saw the Downtown Hoodie by Tori Yu, and there's a striping version for it, and I really wanted to use Freckled Whimsy's Christmas Advent for the stripe section on the Downtown Hoodie by Tori Yu. That being said, I didn't know what color, solid color, would match exactly for this advent. So I waited to purchase the yarn until I received the advent. I've already opened it so that I could order my Downtown hoodie solid color in the color that I felt would match best. Now, I also understand that there is screen discrepancies between how the color looks on screen versus in real life. So I narrowed it down to 2 colorways, one of which was the Cascade 220 Superwash in the color Sea Glass. So I ordered a sweater's quantity of that, and that brought 700 grams of yarn into my stash. But then I also knew that, like I said, screen discrepancies. So I also ordered another sweater's quantity. In the colorway Feathered Heather. Whichever one I decide to use for the Downtown hoodie plus Advent, no, did I say that right? Whichever one I decide not to use for the Downtown hoodie Advent will actually, I already have another project in mind. I would like to make the Ozetta cardigan. I think that's what it's called. I'll have to check. But I like either one. I've wanted to knit the Ozetta for a while. The specific cardigan, if it's called the Ozetta. Maybe it's not. Let me check. Oh, it's by Ozetta, and it's the Oversized Seasons cardigan. So either way, either this or this, one will end up the Downtown hoodie with the striped Advent, and one will end up as the Oversized Seasons cardigan by Ozetta. So this also brought 700 grams into my stash. Then we dive down into the rabbit hole of me deciding not only to go back to school for my accounting degree, but it's also a great idea while you're doing that, running a podcast, homeschooling your kids, and living life, to also decide to participate in the Knitting Guild Association's Master Hand Knitter Level 1. So I needed specific yarn for that. In the Master Hand Knitter, they recommend neutral, non-heathered, or pastel, white, cream colored yarn. And I needed some. I honestly didn't want to go with the natural color because I had just knit my pillow in the natural color, so I wanted to get a couple of options to see which one I would want to use for my Master Hand Knitter level, and so I did get several options. This added 600 grams to my stash, but I will be using all of the colors eventually in the different levels of the Hand Knitter, Master Hand Knitter program. So I got this. This is Cascade 220 non-superwash. This is in the colorway Butter. This is color 1034. And this is the color Tutu. For the Master Hand Knitter Level 1, I have decided that I'm going to use Butter for my swatches. And there's also a project in there where you need 2 colors, so I'm thinking that I'm going to pair Tutu and Butter together for that. Now my daughter is knitting a Christmas present for my son, and she needed yarn for that. I'm not counting her yarn, but I do have to count the fact that I did not ensure that that was the only thing that we were ordering because we were trying to do it fast. So I ended up getting an extra skein of what she needed. So that is coming into my stash. And I'm not going to talk about color names or anything like that because my son is nearby and I don't want to give away anything with this, but this was an oopsie. And then also I did not realize that I had put some things in my cart instead of my wish list. And so 400 grams of this came into my cart. This is Cascade Yarns Heritage 6 hand paints. And last year during their Black Friday promotion that was going on Wool & Company, I actually got one skein of this already. I had just put this in my cart with the intent of moving it to a wish list because I would like to make this and the one that I received last year into a Norlig cardigan. And this colorway is Silver Plum. So this is actually going to go in my stash. It's going to count as in my stash, but I'm actually going to put this away, and this is going to be my birthday present from my family next year. So this brought 400 grams into my stash. I also brought in 300 grams of opal yarn because I have people that want very crazy, interesting colored socks for Christmas, and opal just fit the bill because one, I don't want to give them any of my self-striping yarn that I've bought over the years because I like it, and two, it didn't fit the bill for intense, crazy colors. If you've seen any of the opal socks that Lisa of 72 Stitches has ever knit up, opal tends to be kind of chaotic in their striping sequences and stuff. So I was able to pick up 3 skeins. They're already caked up. This one, oh actually this one's Regia. But Regia kind of also has interesting. So this isn't, I mean, that's kind of the stripingness that it will give. This is color 03653. So it's not going to be just your typical stripes. There's going to be some speckles and some variation. So hopefully you'll see this knit up before Christmas because this is supposed to be a Christmas present. And then the other one, don't fall. Okay, we're good. The other one is opal, and it's the one with the unicorn on it. This is a really bad representation because of the glare that I have of what it's supposed to stripe up as. And this is the yarn. Okay, so those are also going to be socks for Christmas. And I do like the extra tooth that the opal and Regia yarns have. And I know that I mentioned that I bought 3. The other one is upstairs already being knit up. And if you watch my podcast, you'll already see what it is. It is opal funny fruits in the orange colorway. Then I also know that I am getting yarn for Christmas. So I'm just adding that in right now from the get-go of the yarn. We saw the Universe in Bloom cal, and my daughter and I wanted to do that. She wanted the yarn for her birthday. No, for Christmas, and I too wanted the yarn for Christmas. Makes for easy gift giving for my husband overall. So that brought in 1,700 grams into my stash. So in the past 3 months, in which I have said that I'm not going to buy any yarn, I have brought in, oh wait, nope, one more. There was this. So Veronica Lindbergh has come out with a new pattern called the Sea Breeze dress. Let me see real quick. Of course, I'm not going to be able to find it, right? Okie dokie. We'll do it this way. Okay, it's by Veronica Lindbergh, also known as Kudavakika, and she has made the seashore dress. I am not willing to spend as much money as the suggested yarn for that dress, but I did find something that I hope will be a good substitute. So I only bought one skein of this to kind of do a gauge swatch to see if this yarn will work out for that dress. But this is Cascade Yarns Pandemonium. And as you can see, it's 55% cotton, 45% viscose from bamboo. This is a DK weight yarn, and this is the colorway 39, and it's actually a lot softer than I thought. I'm hoping that this isn't a growing yarn when I get to it. So now down to the totals and the numbers. So in total, I brought in, so let's see, at the beginning of my stash journey. Is that the beginning of my stash journey? I don't even know. So let's just say this past 3 months, I have brought in a total of 6,050 grams of yarn. And this last little bit of everything that I have gotten out of my stash, I have removed, where did it go? Ah, right here. My total grams out for this episode was 2,642 grams, which I think is awesome. And so that brings my total stash total to 49,159 grams of yarn. I am pleased with the progress that I have made, and I'm also happy with the things that have made it into my stash, even though I didn't think that I would want anything into my stash anymore. That being said, I do have a couple of really big projects that are coming up. I'm hoping to finish my husband's Mick Aston lookalike sweater in fingering weight yarn, and I'm also hoping to finish my Yorkshire blanket in a few months. But we will see. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this tour of what I've been up to and what's come in and out of my stash, and I hope to see you real soon. Bye!